A trait is not diluted in future generations.
Just like this idea that life is substantially a competition between bloodthirsty, hungry, addicted machines. The end result of the game is the survival of genetic code. This is how evolution works. You make tools. And to make tools, you need to do lots of changing. You have to do lots of experiments. So the more experiments, the more likely it is you're going to come up with something new. And that modification's more likely to happen in small populations than big populations. That there's reasons why there aren't missing links all over the place, okay? Why we don't find them in the fossil record. And that's because the substance of evolution likely happens in very small populations. That the dramatic changes take place in isolated populations. Those changes wouldn't be as practical. They couldn't possibly happen if it was always diluted by massive populations. Wildebeest will not evolve as a herd of 1 million animals. It's not likely that they would ever change. They will change if you take 10 of those animals off and send them to an island somewhere, then you're likely to have diversity. And that's what happens, even you can see it with human beings and their migration from Africa and the change that took place in just 40,000 years.
A trait is not diluted in future generations.
But the point is that quite obviously diversity is more likely to survive in a small population than in a large population. So again, this is not just some sort of dramatic theory I'm proposing. It's not something other people haven't said, at least in different ways, but similar things. I guess the only contribution I'm making is the part where I would imply that some inbreeding also accelerates evolution, and that some of our functions, some of our higher intelligence and other attributes are probably likely a consequence of those kinds of dramatic mutations that took place because of isolation.
A trait is not diluted in future generations.
My argument to you is that quite obviously if you have a recessive trait and you mix it or dilute it into a large population, it might likely be eliminated over time, okay, because of just the odds of averages. Where if it's in a small breeding pool, that recessive trait can become a dominant trait because it can actually, through good fortune, wipe out the other dominant alleles.
A trait is not diluted in future generations.
This is basic biology. You're wrong. You're full of crap. This is just a waste of goddamn time. Why are you even arguing this anyway? Why don't you get to your real point, which is your phantasmagorical, sissy view of nature? I mean, this is just stupid to make the argument that somehow the dominant feature of evolution is some sort of symbiotic relationship. No, the dominant feature is aggression, hostility. They want to turn biology into some sort of redeeming function. And there's nothing redeeming in our biology. The only thing we have is the capacity to intellectually look at the game and say, man, that's a really bad game. Let's modify it. Let's try to do better than our biology. But to say that we're somehow built to be beautiful is just such absolute crap. We're built to be monsters. And it is only through memes, the idea that thoughts are now evolving, ideas are now the power. The idea they don't like is this idea that life itself is bogus.